So while you're making your connections in the signal list, there are two other things that it's a good idea to have a look at this stage. The first is when you're making your connections, are they to mono or stereo or 5.1 channels? And the second thing is, do we want to update the labels that we're using in the system? Because this will affect what you see later on the console surface when you assign the channel to a fader strip. Let's have a look at the user labels first. In the center section, you can switch the label displays between the channel name, which is the system name of the channel, the user label, or inherit source. When I go to inherit source, you're seeing on the fader label display changes to mic 01. That is the label of the source which is connected to this input channel. So if I change that label, for example, perhaps that is Tom's mic, and we want to label it Tom, then we see the label next to the fader update. The third option is if you're not quite sure maybe where a channel is going to be connected from and you're preparing a show, you can use the user label for the channel on the right-hand side here. So if this is a guest channel, I can prepare guest ahead. And now I'll see three different options in the fader label display. I can see the system name, input channel 1. I can see the user label for the channel, which is coming from this side, and that's the guest. Or I can see the name that I gave the source, which we've connected to that channel, which is Tom's mic. If I change the routing to that channel, so for example, if we connect from mic 8, then the inherit source label also follows. The label buttons in the center section here are a really useful way of seeing across the console globally what channels you have assigned, so are they inputs, are they groups, and so on, and whether you have signals connected. I can see here I've connected mic 8 to this input channel. Because this label hasn't updated, there's no routing yet, there's no sourced label to be inherited. So we've labelled an individual source signal here with the words Tom. But let's take an example if we were trying to label multiple signals. For example, if we were using these microphones as audience mics, we might want to call them audience 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. If I type in a text string and then add a number at the end of the label field, if I press Shift and Enter on the keyboard, then it will automatically carry that text string forward and add it into the label fields. When I get to the last entry in the list, take your finger off Shift and press Enter so that you make sure you label all 6 entries in our example here.